time, and we're doing something a little different today. And remember, I told you that I wanted to make the sweet and sour meatballs and just kind of show you that there is wisdom in the cookbook, okay? And so I do love cooking. You know, when I was growing up, when I was in my teens, I used to sit in the kitchen and watch my dad cook. You know, my dad was a chef in the Army, and when he remarried, when I was like about 12 years old, most of y'all know my story. And so he married a woman that was a caterer. And so they both cooked. So they shared, you know, the responsibilities of cooking. And some of you that know my dad, you know, love my dad fried pies. Oh my goodness, my dad could make some really good fried pies. And so yesterday, I was gonna go ahead and have my meatball set up. You know how they do on those professional shows. You know, they have a, they have the already made, you know, but unfortunately our electricity went out, and it was an all-day thing for us where I'm located. So that didn't happen. But anyway, I did set up, you know, all my ingredients. So you just kind of have to work with me today because I'm a one camera show person, okay? So I'll try to include you in everything I do, and because of the time factor, you know, we won't be able to just like, you know, cook everything up. But I tell you one thing, one time, this is kind of funny, but I tell you one time, my sweet and sour meatballs, I, you know, made, you know, throughout the year. And so when I first started making them, I believe the cookbook that I used, I don't think I got it out here, but I think this might be it. So you know that this is a well-used cookbook, okay? And so because I've been making them for so many years, the recipe is just embedded in my mind. So I just, you know, go off on my own instead of just using the cookbook. Now, a lot of things, when I first got started cooking, I left home when I was 18, got my own apartment right before I turned 19. And I remember my first time trying to make spaghetti. It turned out to be a mess. Is anybody out there can identify with me when you first start out? And so, you know what? There's some people that, you know, that do not like cooking much, and there's some of us out there that really enjoy cooking. But you know, we do have to eat, okay? So it's better to learn how to cook. And I'll tell you something else too. It's always better to cook from scratch. I mean, it's more healthier to cook from scratch. And so we had like, I don't know, 7 kids in the house at that time and 2 adults, so you got like 9 people. Or maybe we had 6 or something, still 8 of us in the house. And to cut down on the grocery bill, because I got some like stair-step kids. And they, oh my goodness, 6 boys and 2 girls. And wow, they can really put away some food. And so cooking from scratch was something that I did. And because my dad and my stepmom both cooked professionally, that's what they did. They cooked from scratch. And so, as we get older, you know how to cut corners, instead of just making like your own sauce and stuff like that. I usually just use ragu, But anyway, I said all that to say that one time I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna cut corners. And so I was making my sweet and sour meatballs, and somebody had mentioned to me, I don't remember, who it was or what, but somebody had mentioned to me, well, you don't really have to make those meatballs from scratch. You can buy them frozen at the grocery store, and I thought, ooh, okay, well, let me try that. That'll cut down on some work. And so I bought the frozen meatballs, and I did the same thing that I normally do on all the rest of the recipe. And my kids was like, there's something, this is not the same. There's something different about it. They was like, Mom, they don't taste as good as what they normally taste like. And I was like, okay, I done spoiled my kids on cooking from scratch. And so I got my daughter-in-law in here. She like, no, I always make them from scratch. So yeah, I do make them from scratch, because my kids, they know the difference, because they grew up on me cooking from scratch. I even learned how to make my own tortillas from scratch and stuff, and so they really like all that kind of stuff. And so so here's my here's my cookbook, one of my cookbooks, and as you can see, it's been well used. And this is why I say there's wisdom in the cookbook, because if I can bring this up closer to you, so where you can kind of see. Now, this cookbook teaches you how to carve beef. And so there's some things that you may not have learned, from your parents, or you may have to learn how to cook on your own. But cookbooks are good to just learn, little hints and stuff of how to make cooking easier for you, and you can cater it to whatever you like, And so one of the other things that I like about this particular cookbook is that it tells you about the different beefs and which ones are the best, or the different parts. This gives you the whole picture, and gives you the different parts. So, you kind of know what to choose, even when you go to the grocery store. Okay, so so you can tell this has been one of my well-used cookbooks. I also wanted to share with you, you don't really have to spend a whole lot of money on cookbooks, because I went to the library, because a lot of my kids, when they were growing up, we spent a lot of time in the summertime in the library, and they was a part of the library reading club and stuff like that, because I believe, in reading, and so this is my Pillsbury Complete Cookbook. You can tell I use this. I don't even have a back on it anymore. But when I first discovered this book was in the library. And so, you can only check it out, and you're only supposed to keep it for like 2 weeks, and then you got to take it back. And I would just, do the renewal thing. And finally, they're like, well, you can only renew it about 2 or 3 times or whatever. I don't know what they do now. But the woman told me, she said, you know what? She said, you might as well buy it. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. I might as well. And so I was telling my husband about it and everything, and guess what? Yeah, he went and bought it for me. So, which was so sweet because he knows I love cookbooks. This is another one, Better Homes and Garden. This is another one. He bought that for me. Now listen, I'm going to tell you something. Now don't you tell my husband I'm telling you this. But he knows that I like cookbooks, you know, and I like reading them and everything. And he knows I like cooking and baking and all that kind of stuff. And so on my birthday, yes, ladies, guess what he bought me? He bought me a cookbook. I was like, oh no, not for my birthday. And my husband loves chicken. Oh my goodness, he loves chicken. Don't y'all be telling him what I said now. Because when we first got married, and I made, chicken and everything, and we were eating. We always usually eat as a family, and I do want to encourage you to sit down with your kids if you have kids. Even if you're by yourself, it's always nice. Make you a placemat, sit at the table and eat. It's always nice to do things like that. So we was one of those families that sat down, 5, 6 o'clock, we eat dinner. And oh my goodness, girls, he tore the meat off of the bone. I had never seen anybody eat chicken like that in my life. And then we went out with our pastor, and he did the same thing. I was like, whoa, look at this. I was like, ooh, let me call my dad, tell him about this. And so when he bought me the cookbook, guess what kind of cookbook he bought me? He bought me a cookbook that says 360 ways to make chicken. I was like, man, you brought this cookbook for yourself. I was upset. So I had to tell him, when you buy stuff for me for my birthday, make sure that it's something personal for me, not for something that I can use for somebody else. You want to buy me a cookbook for some other holiday, but not for my birthday and not for Mother's Day, okay? So I had to train him on that. Now don't y'all tell him what I said. Okay, so I want to share with you, let me share with you that you really don't have to spend a lot of money on a cookbook. I got this cookbook, and you can see it's another well-used cookbook. This cookbook cost me $1. $1. And it's got some really good recipes in here that I have tried with my family, and they really love them. So I'm going to show off a little bit with some of my cookbooks. As you can see, some of you kind of can see I got my cookbook. Now this is not all of my cookbooks. This is just some of them. And so I even have my, it's called My Cookbook. This was given to me on Mother's Day. Now my kids can give it to me on Mother's Day, not my husband. And let's see, who gave me this cookbook? Oh, yes. My son Xavier, which is like in his 30s now, gave me this cookbook. As you can see, it's a little kid's cook. They made it, but I kept it. And so here's another one from 3rd grade, my son Jordan made. And it's got, I've used this, as you can tell, how we are. So, and I have to share this one is special right here. Even it's on a piece of paper. My mother-in-law wrote this recipe out for me. And I'm telling you, I had a really, that thing, don't y'all believe in the lies of Disney movies, because the mother-in-law is not always an evil thing. You know, it's really, the relationship is what you make it. And I had a really good relationship with my mother-in-law. And I mean, we had a really good relationship. And she cooked. And there's a lot of things that I learned from her, you know, that I didn't even like lima beans. They call them butter beans. I didn't even like them until my mother-in-law made them. Oh my goodness. Now I like them. My husband liked them anyway, but yeah. And so let me show you a cookbook that my mother-in-law gave me. Now, I knew she was getting ready to pass away because she started giving me all her cookbooks, and she started giving me certain items and stuff like that. And I'm like, she's on her way out. And so this, yeah, ladies, I got it. Okay? Now you can see that I had to put it all together because I don't even have the little bands that goes on it. But this is Nebraska Continental First Ladies Cookbook, okay? So I got, and if you look on here, you can see that is from 1869 to 1867 to 1967. There is a lot of wisdom in this book. Oh my goodness. And there's a lot of history in this book. And so I'm just going to show you just a little bit. Oh my goodness. And this came from my mother-in-law, okay? So we got the past first ladies. We got a lot of recipe. It shows even the pictures. National first ladies. It's got their pictures on there. Look at that. These are, you know, some of the first national ladies. And some of them are the governor's wives and stuff like that. So she gave me this. This, you know, shows you, you know, the, what did it say? The government mansion located in the Capitol building. And this is Mrs. Morrison. And she was one of the governor's wives, and it lists all that information in a cookbook. Okay, so there's a lot that you can get in a cookbook. Now some of my cookbooks, like this one, is a Florence Elementary. That's where my kids went to school, and it has a lot of helpful hints in it. Okay, so some of these things, you know, who's passing down this type of information, okay? So some things you could just get a cookbook and learn it in a cookbook. But you know, that's what Women of Wisdom is all about. We are all about passing vital knowledge to the next generation and or even bringing aware things that some of us didn't learn, okay? And so I am so passionate about that because, for one thing, you know, some of you that know me, you know, there was so much that I missed out on learning because my mom passed away when I was 11 months. So, you know, without having a mom, there's a whole lot of things that you just don't learn. And, you know, I've learned from watching some of you women, and I've learned from watching some other women that, you know, knew how to be a woman, knew how to be a wife, knew how to be a mother, and cooked and stuff. And I was at your house. Yes, honey, you didn't know. I was learning from you. Thank you. So thank you for being who you are, and you added to who I am. All right. And so look at this. Look at this, what this says. It says, add flavor to tea by dissolving old-fashioned lemon drops or hand mint candies in it. They melt quickly and keep the tea brisk. These are things that, you know, we can learn. It says never boil coffee. How many knew that? It brings out acid and cause a bitter taste. Store ground coffee in the refrigerator or freezer to keep it fresh. You know, some of you might have already known that, but there are some of us that just didn't know that. Okay, so I wanted to express to you that how we can grow in wisdom through the cookbook, okay? And I want to say this, you know what? I'm here to learn, just like you may be here to learn. And so I would appreciate comments on Tea Time with Dorarena. You know, I do not confess to, you know, have all wisdom. I know God's given me some wisdom, but I'm still growing in wisdom. And I don't confess to be no more than anybody else or anything like that. You know, I want to learn from you, and I'm put here on the earth for you to learn from me. And so share your thoughts, share your comments with me, and let's do this thing together, you know, because as women, we need each other. And you know what? That's the problem in the first place. You know, I was talking to a teenager this past week. She's about 15 years old, and she was telling me, she calls me Pastor Dorarena, but she was telling me that, you know, she said they have a lot of information on how men can take care of themselves, but what about women? What do we know? You know, who's teaching us females, you know, all this kind of stuff? And, you know, when she started saying all that stuff, you know, my ears perked up. And I'm like, come on, girl, share it with me. And she was just saying, she said, you know, nobody's sharing stuff with us, you know. And so that's why we're here. You know, hardly ever do you hear women talking about being prepared for menopause, okay? You know what? I slipped up. It slipped up on me. And I was like, you know, I didn't know what was going on. But that's stuff that we need to be sharing with other women as whether you're going through it or already been through it, you know, want to know about it, you know, we need to be sharing this stuff. And the other thing is, you know, someone was saying this, you know, to me, you know, as women, come on, you know what, we need to stop, you know, all the, you know, she talking about she got wisdom. Let me see if she got wisdom. Honey, let's not even get into that. Let's just share what we know with one another so we all can grow. How about that? You know, let's not make it a comparison thing. You know, let's not make it, you know, I put on a post, you know, that, you know, the difference between wisdom and arrogance. Arrogance is when you think that you're better than other people. You know, there's no way just because you have wisdom, you should be thinking that you're better than anybody else, because that does not make us better. You know, there's a difference in having confidence in what you already know, you know, but that doesn't make you better than someone else just because you know more than someone, okay? Even if you know how to use the knowledge properly, that does not make you better than anybody else. And so as females, who can teach another female better than another female? Why should we have to depend on Dr. So-and-so, Dr. Man so-and-so to tell us how females operate when we know because we experience it. And we need to get off of this, you know, comparing thing and all this kind of stuff and start sharing the love with one another, so that, you know, there's always going to be those people that are like that, but that everybody doesn't have to be like that. There are a lot of young ladies out there that want to grow, and we look at them and we think, you know, we judge them and think they don't want to know nothing. They don't blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. But you know what? Really, we're just judging them based on our own idiosyncrasies. And, you know, we need to set those aside and start helping one another do better in life, okay? And really, that's what Women of Wisdom is all about. You know, you got to have confidence in who you are so that you can improve in life, okay? So we're building confidence today in cooking, okay? So, because we want to use practical and so, which is more kind of like a hands-on type of thing, something that you can grasp onto, okay? So this is not Hollywood, this is not a Disney thing, this is real life here, okay? So, I tell you something else too. Now, I discovered Light and Tasty. Now, Light and Tasty, I found this information in like offices, like the dental office and different professional offices, and they would have these, and I would, you know, if it was an old one, I would ask them, could I have it, you know? And finally, I just got to the place where I just started ordering them because they had so many good recipes in it, and they had so many good stories in it, just like this one right here. It says, it's light and tasty recipe to the rescue when readers decide to start eating right. Okay, you know what? There is wisdom in eating right, because you know what? Our bodies have to take us places, and if we don't eat properly, we won't have the energy that we need. You know, we won't have the proper protein. Let me share something with you that I discovered. One time, you know, and by the way, I did not know how to eat properly. I call my dad was the candy man, okay? And oh my goodness, we tore up some candy. And I'm still recovering or being restored from eating a bunch of candy. But anyway, I've been learning how to eat right, and at one point I was getting dizzy, and I couldn't understand, you know, I'm eating, you know, I was exercising, and you know, I used to exercise before my car accident. I was exercising 4 or 5 times a week, and I would do up to like 3 miles, you know, a day and stuff. And you know, but, you know, I would get, well, you know what? I got dizzy because I didn't have enough protein in my system. And I didn't know that. And so I had to start taking like the protein shakes for a while to build up my protein back up. And then once I got it where it needed to be, I didn't have to take the shakes anymore. So it's important that we eat right. And okay, so let's get started over here. Now, listen, don't be looking at my kitchen. You know how us women are. Look at our kitchen. Don't get caught up in all of that, okay? But I want to share with you the stuff that, you know, to make your sweet and sour meatballs. Now, what I do now, I used to use ground beef, and now I use ground turkey. To me, ground turkey is a lot lighter and it's a lot healthier than the beef, you know. And so what I do is just follow my voice. You don't have to follow where I go, but follow my voice. And so in this bowl, I have my ground turkey in here, and what I do is I dice up my onions. I dice up my onions, and I mix up my eggs. So I have eggs here. Now I'm gonna tell you a lot of stuff that I didn't have prepared because, like I said, my electricity was off yesterday, and I was gonna have all this stuff prepared. So, and I had to do a lot of office work today, and so yeah, so we're where we are, but that's okay. You guys with me? Okay. So, you know, I scramble up my eggs real good, and we won't get everything done, but at least you'll get an idea, and hopefully you're getting the wisdom that I'm sharing with you, okay? Okay, so I put a little milk in my eggs, and, you know, swish that up real good. And I had diced up sliced up some onions. Now, you know what? This is not a professional cooking show. This is real life, okay? Can you include measurements? I'm writing them down. Okay, that's another thing. I have to guess, honey, because a lot of times I don't even measure. I just kind of go by instincts. And, okay, but you have one egg, and then you'll use about maybe, I don't know, and 1 pound of ground beef, ground turkey, and then maybe a fourth of a cup of milk, less than a fourth, how about an eighth a cup of milk? How about that? Okay, and then with my onions, I like flavor, okay? So with my onions, you know, I dice them up a little bit. So I would say probably about a fourth of a cup of diced onions. You just kind of, you know, and then breadcrumbs, I use probably about a fourth of a cup of breadcrumbs. I like mine thick. I don't like it real runny, like, okay. So about a fourth of a cup of breadcrumbs. And Worcestershire sauce. I never, you know, why did they name it that? That's got to be after somebody's name, okay? That's kind of a hard name. But you don't have to use a whole lot of this. All you need is probably about a half of a teaspoon or something. It's not really a whole lot that you use with that. Okay? Then you just kind of mix that up real good. You know, you can put your salt and pepper in there. And, you know, I would say maybe a tablespoon of salt. My salt kind of comes out a little slow, so that's why I'm putting so much in here. And then maybe about a fourth of a teaspoon of pepper, okay? And so just kind of mix that up real good. And then you're going to add that. You're going to add that to your meat, okay? And then, you know, sometimes I use my hands, but you know how that go. You use your hands to get all, you know. I mean, you know, that's the old-fashioned way to do things, and that's probably the better way to do things, get it all mixed up real good. But for, you know, tea time, we're going to use a spoon. How about that? Okay. Yeah, this is one of my kids' favorites, is their sweet and sour meatball. And you know, you can make, you know, rice and, you know, serve it over rice. And it's so funny because rice has not been one of my things. I remember one time our oldest son, he had came over or something like that, and I had made some rice, and you know, next thing I know, he went and bought me a rice maker, and I just laughed about it because he already knew and I already knew that was not my thing. But since then, I've learned, you know, from, like I said, watching some other women fix rice, I've learned how to do better at doing rice. So you can serve this over rice. And then what I do is I have a little, my oil, I take a little oil before I touch these. You know how they go, honey. We gotta wash our hands, you know. And someone said, you know, anytime you're in the kitchen and you're cooking and stuff, always have some dishwater. So you can keep, you know, wash as you go. Okay? So don't get caught up in a bunch of other stuff. Just get caught up in the things that you can learn, okay? All right? Okay, so usually what I do is I put a little oil on my hands. And usually I use olive oil. And but I don't have any right now. And so I just put a little of that on my hands, and as you can see, it's not even mixed up all that good right now. But okay, because I have the oil on my hands, it's a little better to, you know, just kind of roll it into a ball. Last time I made them, my husband, and you make those a little smaller, and I was like, all you gotta do is slice it in half, and I guess he wants to take the whole thing and put it in his mouth at one time. Don't y'all be telling him what I said. Okay, so you know, you just make a little ball, and I just usually just make a bunch of them up, and then now before I put a little oil, probably about 3 tablespoons of oil in my pan, and then just kind of heat that up real good. Put your meatballs in there and just kind of let them cook, and then flip them, you know, as they go. Then you take them out, the cooked ones, take them out and set them to side. Now, excuse me, you want them done a little bit more than just browning them, okay? Because you are going to put them back in the pan and cook them and put a top on it, so that would kind of help, you know, the inside, okay? So the other thing is, after you make them, after you cook them, set them aside. I put a little bit more oil in my pan, and then I put my onions and my bell peppers in there, and I cook those up until they're like kind of like transparency, you know what I mean? So that only takes about a couple of minutes or something like that, less than probably 3 to 4 minutes. And then usually what I do is I take my cornstarch, so you probably want maybe a tablespoon of beef flavoring. Now I use broth-based seasoning. This is the chicken kind, but I use the beef kind on my meatballs. So you want to take, how many bell peppers? Just one. Just one bell pepper. That's all you need. One onion. And you can even use the same onion for the inside the meatballs as for the outside, for the whole dish. I hope I explained that right. So, okay. So once you do your onions and your bell peppers, I usually use green bell peppers. Today I'm using green and yellow, and you just kind of saute those, and then you can take those out. Okay, then you want to put your seasoning base, your broth base seasoning, and I'll show you. This is what it looks like inside, but this is the beef kind. And you just want to take a tablespoon of that, put it in the pan, take about a tablespoon of cornstarch, put that in there, and then take a fourth of a cup of apple cider or vinegar. You can just use regular vinegar, or you can use apple cider vinegar. Take a fourth of a cup of that, put that in there, with your broth and your cornstarch, and you pour the juice from your pineapple chunks. So you want a can of pineapple chunks. What size is this? 20 ounce. And you take the juice and you pour it in with the sauce. Okay, so this is going to make kind of a sauce, and it'll thicken up as you continue to cook it. Okay, when you do that, put your onions and your bell peppers back in the pan. Put your meat back in the pan, and put your pineapples in the pan, and just stir it up a little bit, and then turn your heat down, put a top on it, and just let it cook. Now there's something else. I add soy sauce as well to give it a little flavor, and I like Kikkoman's because it just has a deeper flavor to me. So I just use a little bit of that, and just kind of to your own discretion, just kind of put a little. Just remember this is what I've learned when it comes to adding seasonings and things like that. You can always add more, but once you add it, you can't take it out. So just add a little bit at a time, and just kind of to your taste, and you will arrive with good results. Okay, so if you have any more questions about how to do this, just let me know, and I can share that with you. And I do appreciate the questions. I do appreciate the comments, and I want for you to start sharing with me your thoughts, okay? Because that helps me, and it helps others that are watching, because sometimes, someone wants to ask, or they want to know something, but they won't ask. So if you're bold enough to ask, go ahead and ask the question. No question is, a dumb question. You know how they say. The only dumb question is the one that's not asked. You know how they say that. I don't always get these sayings right, but you get my point right. Okay, so that's how I do my sweet and sour meatballs, and then I let it simmer for probably about 15 minutes or something like that, just to get it all stirred up. Stir it up a couple of times, don't let it stick, because it will stick if you cook it too long or too high temperatured, you know, and you're gonna have some good sweet and sour meatballs tonight. My son, he loves them. And so so like I said, there's a lot of wisdom in the cookbook. It's more than just learning how to know how to measure things out and stuff like that. But you know, in one of my books, I think it's this one, Family Favorites. This one I got at my credit union. Okay, and I think that it has the same information in. But look at this. Back in the back, it tells you pantry basics, okay? Things that you should keep stocked in your pantry. And then it gives you all the information about herbs and spices, what, you know, what they are, what kind of flavor you can expect. Because I know if you're like me, I'm pretty sure you went to the store and you looked at, you know, some coriander and thought, coriander, what do you use coriander for? You know, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, I am going to make these tomorrow. These are Jay's favorite. Awesome. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, and so even back here, look at portions of baking powder to flour, temperatures, times, and charts. You know, the perfect pie, the perfect cakes. There's been things that I've learned, you know, when you make a cake from scratch, you know, the more eggs that you add, the moister the cake is, if I'm saying that right. Your cake is more moist with more eggs. Less eggs is kind of dry, okay? And so these are, you know, things that, you know, this is good information. This is good information. And the other thing is, I like the substitutes. You know, you have substitutes, you know, because sometimes, you know, my husband always say, because, you know, sometimes I have to run him to the store. And he's like, you know, you need to, you know, get all your stuff, you know, you know what you're going to cook, because he don't want to go to the store. But, you know, get all your stuff, you know, that you're going to cook. Make sure you got everything, you know. And so, I mean, that's good information. But still, you know how we are sometimes. We like to make something and we just don't have it. Well, husband, that's what you're there for. You run to the store and pick it up so you can eat. Amen. Oops, here we go preaching. Okay, so like this one, this book is an international collection of recipes, okay? So this book, I think, only cost me about $5, I think, $5 or $10. And look at it, it's got all the substitutes in it. Now it tells you the substitute. Ketchup or chili sauce, 1 cup. Tomato paste plus sugar and vinegar. You know, you just got to try it out, you know. So these things have helped me a whole lot. Plus a lot of the women that's been in my life, you know, has helped me from the foundation of my dad and my stepmom being caterers and cooks, you know, helped me to grow in my ability to have confidence to cook well and feed my family. Now, you know, all my kids are grown and everything, and so I still, you know, cook for me and my husband and one of my sons sometimes. He's here, but so, you know, like I said, there's wisdom in the cookbook and we need to help one another, okay? Okay, so a quick announcement. Okay, on the 28th of August, we are having a Incomparable Beauty workshop, and I want to encourage you to go ahead, go online and sign up for the workshop. Online is $25. We're going to have an awesome time. It's going to be us and, us women growing in wisdom and practical confidence together. And it's $25 online, $30 at the door. If you can get your tickets online, that would be greatly appreciated, so that I can have a head count on our lunches. And so we're gonna, one of the workshops or the breakout session is called Incomparable Worth. So we're gonna talk about that. One of the other ones is how to take fear to level 10 confidence. Ladies, you're not going to want to miss this. We're going to have a lot of giveaways. We're going to give away some of our wild t-shirts. We have paparazzi is going to be our business highlight, and we're going to, she's going to have jewelry giveaways. We got all kind of giveaways. We love giveaways. You know how us women are. We love prizes. And so we're going to have a lot of prizes, a lot of laughing, a lot of just, enjoying each other's company and having a ladies' night out. And right now, ladies, we really need that right now, because all the stuff that's going on, we need to take some time for us and get away from the stress of life and have some fun together and rebuild our energy, with some laughter and joy and just being around that positivity. We need that right now. And so I'm encouraging you to sign up and come out. Maybe you've never been to one of our workshops before, but this is the time to come and check us out. Okay, so I want to encourage you to do that. It's going to be Friday night up on 72nd at the Cross Training Center. We'll have our sign out so you'll see where we're located. And it's going to be Saturday from 12:30 with Continental Breakfast, and then before we close, we will have a lunch from Panera Bread. And so, you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. I don't require that, but if that's what you feel comfortable with, put your mask on, but don't miss out on the fun. Okay? All right. Well, this is Dorarena Tea Time, Tuesday Tea Time with Dorarena. I'm so thankful for all of you that are watching. I've heard, off the camera from some of you, and you really have encouraged me to continue to do this. And so I really appreciate that. I appreciate all the donations and coming out and supporting Women of Wisdom, because we need each other. Okay? All right. So I'm out. And remember, ladies, walk in wisdom. Bye-bye.